All right, good evening, everybody. I see some new faces here, so this is our community comment section. So I've just, if anybody has any comments they'd like to make that are not about agenda items, if you guys are here for a particular agenda item, I'd like to know what it is as well, too, please. It's a secret.
Well, we can move
It is a public meeting, so we don't keep secrets.
So we can move the agenda item up on the agenda if you don't.
If you're here about a particular agenda item, we might shift that forward into the meeting.
Otherwise, you might be here till 11.
No, we'll never be here till 11.
No, actually, no.
Your agenda item might be at 11.
Well, yeah, I don't even see my agenda item on here, but it's actually, I read this thing about AT&T looking for more cell towers. And then the other thing is the questionnaire, you put in the Acton in the journal.
Well,
The marijuana questionnaire.
There you go.
Okay.
the AT&T, he could do his public comment, because that's on the
Yes.
agenda, and then we can move marijuana
We'll move
up, because it
marijuana
is the
up.
last agenda item.
I'm a little confused in reading on the AT&T thing.
So
So first of all, my name is Rick Ward. I know
Oh.
some of you people, I know you see me around, been there for, I don't know, 18, 19, 20 years.
So AT&T came and they were looking for new tower locations to, what they told us was to implement a broadband coverage that would have some type of government grant to increase broadband to areas that didn't have it. And to do that, they were looking at putting towers. Most of these towers are on the north side of Crown Valley, in areas that they claim don't have a lot of coverage right now.
North side of Sierra Heights.
I'm sorry, north side of Sierra Highway.
Yeah, that would be me.
Okay. They have identified 4 or 5 locations, and we have not heard from them lately on where they are in this whole thing.
Oh, so you have no idea where those locations
No,
are either?
they did tell us.
They did
and
tell us.
The addresses were, I think, were published in the newspapers in the public, right? I mean, they gave us the addresses.
It was confusing because they had one of the addresses wrong. They said the one that is up by Boiling Point was here in Acton, and it was completely wrong because I happen to live across the street from where they had planned to put that tower in at Boiling Point. So it was a little confusing as to exactly where they were putting these things.
They did have a map though, and they said the map was, where the dot was supposedly correct, so.
No, where the dot was wrong.
Oh.
The address on the map was correct.
We asked them,
The address
I
was
mean,
right.
the way it was resolved here, because they asked the town council to take a position, and we asked them to go talk to the people who are going to be in that area and see the tower every day. It's because it's a very tall tower. Yeah.
75 feet.
75 feet. And if there's no objection, then, you know, as long as we know that the community is not opposed to it, then we would.
Well, you're talking north of Sierra,
Correct.
okay? How far, what's the range of Sierra? Sierra's kind of.
Oh, yeah, it's almost on the border of Agua Dulce,
So
right?
we're going back up that way and we're not going this way.
Furthest-
Right, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
We're
Going west.
It's,
West of
Yeah, we're going west instead of east.
yeah, we have not
Because
heard.
you got a whole area up there that's going east that has no availability to that either.
Right.
I think that the government actually helped choose, by giving the grant, told them where they would be putting those
I
towers.
told them where to go.
Well, so technically, the other side of Sierra Highway is actually north, all right? So
Yeah.
it's not east, it's actually north. So it's the north side.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, well, just,
East is west and north side, out here it doesn't matter.
out here doesn't matter, right?
One's up in the Shannon Valley.
Up in Shannon.
Is that where they're talking back in
One's-
Shannon
one's-
Valley?
One was in Shannon Valley. Okay.
Right, that's right on the borderline, that would make sense, okay.
Right.
But,
So,
and they're not doing anything down at the other end, that's just, I'm
On
up by my fire station 80. That's the biggest joke there is, I mean, it stops right there.
yeah, I don't recall them having,
well, they had one in,
it was sort of in the central,
right, they also had one on the other side in the Forston area.
near Peaceful. Oh, they had one in Forreston?
So, which might serve Fire Station 80
I tell you
at some
what,
point.
can you email the town council website
Yes, I can.
And then what we can do is just forward your contact information to the gentleman who was here, and then he.
I really would appreciate that. I've been talking with AT&T for years. I actually work at the RV place at the bottom of the hill, okay? That's where it stops,
Oh, okay.
right there. I look out my kitchen window every morning I'm going to work there. I don't get internet. I get internet, I pay for it through the satellite, it's $300 a month. It's ridiculous.
Right.
Well, I remember we asked them for the maps, and they wouldn't give them to us, right?
Well,
Or am I
right,
confusing
what we asked them to
everybody?
do is provide accurate maps, and we also asked them to not just notify the adjacent neighbor, but 1 mile radius around. And they were said, well, we'll look into how we do that. They weren't sure how they did that. I do know they did say that they have actually contacted the property owners on those sites. And
Oh, okay.
so the property owners are aware of the sites already, because it's a rental deal for them. But yeah, if you'll send an email, we'll hook you up with the representative from
Yeah,
AT&T.
get that out for you.
And let them know, now I believe they were primarily broadband, not voice, is what they were
No,
talking
it was,
about.
no. But first it was voice when
But
they
then it
first
was-
came,
right.
and then they switched to broadband.
Well, that's
with
okay.
voice.
Like, I'm an AT&T customer. I have voice. I have a landline. I don't get anything else from them.
Right.
You know, I have DirecTV, and I have to get my internet service through satellite, which was really cool last Thursday. Yeah.
Well, we'll just do that, and then we'll step out of the middle, and you can.
If you could hook me up with them, I really would appreciate that, because it just, it gets expensive. It's a little pain in the butt.
Yeah. Okay. Any other public comment?
We had issues about the survey, the cannabis
Well,
survey.
we'll
Okay,
talk-
we're
we'll talk
gonna
about
talk
that.
about that in a minute. We're gonna move that forward on the agenda.
I was just gonna mention that I recall them talking about wanting to put one in Shannon Valley.
Uh-huh.
Right. I know Shannon Valley was one location, and I believe, was it Forston? Forston was another one.
And residents have not, I haven't been notified, I'm close enough to it, I should have been.
Well, unless it was your neighbor, they weren't intending on notifying you when we had asked.
So I thought we asked them.
We did, but we've not heard from them since we made
Yeah,
the
it'd be nice
request.
if they provided a map that would maybe publish for everybody to see exactly where they're at. Is there anything closer to Santiago, to the Santiago Square? Did we see anything? Because they don't have, I don't remember, so that's why I'm
Right.
asking.
I think there was something in Sierra Highway near Crown Valley.
Well, that's where they messed up. The Sierra Highway Crown Valley, that's where the right address but wrong.
Oh.
Okay.
And everything was pretty much west of here, for the most part.
It was very confusing. I just remember that.
Yes.
Couldn't they put a tower up on Parker Mountain and cover everything? That makes too much sense.
Yeah, I'm not sure about
I
that,
used
but,
to have fire tower up.
yeah, not to get too far off topic, but they're talking about putting cell repeaters on aircraft and creating a whole net across the country. So maybe all this at some point, we will no longer be third world cell phone, you know, here in California.
We're up in Hughes Canyon, we don't get any.
Yeah, we're the same way. Yes, ma'am.
Our property is one of the sites for AT&T, and I can tell you that with regard to us, they sent an environmental study person out last week to take pictures.
Okay.
So that's where we are in the process.
It was moving.
Yeah.
And where's your, what area are you in?
We're Shannon Valley.
You're Shannon Valley, okay,
Okay.
okay.
Oh, that's good to know.
And I know that you portray Acton in the Stone Age, but my understanding is Acton didn't even get electricity until the 40s. Under the Rural Electrification Act. Now, that could just be legend, but that's what I understand.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I'm a little bit hard of hearing. If anybody could stand up and talk like you're wanting to be heard, that'd be very much appreciated by me.
Okay, I usually have a pretty booming voice.
I'm sorry?
I said I usually have a pretty booming voice, so.
Yeah?
You're not, you want to come up a seat? Sit up front?
I'd sit right next to you.
I'm gonna take a seat.
Angela's gone, go sit in her seat.
Is there a topic you want, because this is the public comment period, so if there's an item that you want to discuss that's not on the agenda, this is the time to bring it up.
With our recent flooding and I know it's a very rare occurrence. I have an issue with my neighbor who decided to block the V-ditch that runs across several properties. He didn't block it, he decided to put a rubber hose in the V-ditch that was there, that was supposedly engineered by the county. Well, as we all know, if you've lived here any time at all, critters love to make nests in pipes and hoses. Now I've got a bunch of debris in my backyard. Who do I talk to?
Approximately, where are you located? You don't
Right before, what is that place? I've lived
We're
here
on
20
Desert Road,
So you're,
and we're in the last section that was built before all the new Kaufman Road or whatever they were.
okay,
So you're near the speed bumps?
Excuse me?
The speed
You're near the
bumps.
speed bumps?
no, they're not on
No, we don't have
No.
Oh,
speed bumps.
McHenry,
That's
I'm sorry, that's
McHenry.
McHenry, sorry.
Okay,
So you're
so,
not in the HOA, you're outside of the HOA.
right.
And this debris, did it come from the HOA? It came from another
it
property outside
should
the HOA?
drain all the way down
And
into
keep
the
going.
creek bed and go across Soledad Canyon Road. I mean, yeah, that's right.
No,
Sierra
It's
Highway.
Santiago. But anyway, this man decided to build this shed right on top of our V-ditch. Now, our ditch is full of not just debris, just pure mud. And we don't even know how to get it out. Who's responsible for that?
Well, I think my recommendation would be to go to the building and safety, the
Right.
drainage and grading gentlemen. Start there, point
Where
one.
are they located?
They are up at K6, it's an LA County
Okay.
office,
Uh-huh.
and you sign in, you get there by 11:30, sign in, and then ask to talk to the drainage, grading and drainage guy. Sometimes he only has certain days, so make sure you look up his time when he's there. And then you can also go over to regional planning and ask to look at the site plan for that parcel next to yours, and see if they got a site plan approval for that structure.
Well, you can't build on the V-ditch anyway, so
Well, but-
whatever they,
But the property owner might not have divulged the existence of the V-ditch when they got the site plan,
but
so.
they're in a,
And these people built this shed right on the property line and covered up our drainage that we had for 20 years. And it's all uphill and it goes past our house and it should go down the ditch.
you
But
just have
these
to go to
people
building.
decided they didn't like our view or something. And so they put something right in the way.
You have
Then-
to go to
so building and safety is the people we need to talk to.
Specifically, grading and drainage
Grading
section
and drainage.
of building. Building safety covers everything, or a lot of things, building permits, stuff like that.
Yeah,
You want to talk to the grading and drainage guy, but I would also pull the plot plan with regional planning. She's right next counter over. Her name's Tina Carlin. Carlin?
Carlin, you just need to go to building and safety and talk to the head inspector there. The manager is Francis Dominguez, and tell him what's going on. Nobody can build on your V-ditch. That's an established track. That drainage was meant to take the water out of those mountains and down the hill.
right.
There's big culverts down there at the bottom that go down Desert Road. I know for a fact they're there. So I would take yourself over there first thing in the morning. Don't wait until 10 or 11. They get really busy and they may leave.
Take some pictures first.
Oh, I've got photos. I've got photos and I've got Google Earth, you know,
Yeah.
bird's eye view.
Bring all that with you, so.
What street are you on?
I'm sorry?
Street, Myers Creek.
I know exactly.
Myers
where you
Creek
are.
and Desert.
know exactly where the problem is.
Yeah.
We're the corner house,
Yep.
and the house south of us is the house,
The perpetrator.
the asshole.
Okay.
It's okay.
I know exactly where you are.
Strike that, Lillian. We didn't say it.
Discretion.
I know if we had more rain, it would be a more pressing issue. And needless to say, the storm that we had recently was certainly beyond,
Unusual, very
Yeah.
unusual for here.
but still,
Not that unusual.
he pumps it out as best he can with a little sump pump, but that doesn't take care of the debris. And when he passes away, he's an elderly gentleman, a little older than I am. His wife is surely not gonna do it. And if he sells the house,
You need to have it inspected by the county.
Yeah, yeah. So I started building and safety.
Building and safety.
Have you talked to your neighbor about it? I mean, I would first start there.
I've
Tried that already, I assume?
Of course I talked to him.
Okay.
About his 7 dogs too. That went nowhere.
Okay. Yeah, I would start building and
Basically, it's
safety.
that situation, you talk to the guy, and it goes nowhere, and lo and behold, you know, I understand that the V ditch goes right through his property, and it's, he should not have bought the property, or figured out a better way to deal with it, because the water, he has a grate in front, and probably on the outgoing side. But we all know mice and critters get into the tiniest cracks. And it's just, I don't want to get stuck with this every time it rains.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I would suggest, like Jackie said, go building safety, see what they say, and if you need more help with this after you talk to them, if you have other questions, you can email us or you can come to another meeting, but they will, you know, that's an established drainage, they will probably, I don't know, Jackie, they're gonna make them correct it, right? Most likely. I don't.
They should.
He'll get a violation.
So,
He'll
they-
get a violation.
I believe they have the ability to cite the property owner for violation.
They have that ability. It's sometimes difficult to convince them to use the tools they have, but they do have the tools to rectify this situation.
But,
Okay, building and safety, that,
right. But unless you speak with them, they're never gonna come out and look at it. You need to let them know. That's the way, most of these are handled, but somebody says, hey, there's a problem over here, they go and they look at it, and, you know, that's the way they're gonna have to deal with it, because it's not, they're not gonna drive around and look for, well, sometimes they do, but generally speaking, they don't find these things on their own.
yeah.
Well, that tract was established with that kind of drainage. No, he cannot block the drainage, he can't build on it, he can't put it on the property line, we have setbacks. So there's, in what I'm hearing you say, there's violations there. So stop at building and safety and talk to them. Tell them you need help.
Thank you very much for your information.
You're welcome. It's not good.
No. All right, any other public comment before we move on? All right, the minutes of last meeting.
Pass them all out to
Okay.
everybody?
I'm good.
Okay, we'll bring it, at the end, we'll check it,
Okay.
since I haven't had a chance to look at them yet. Pam, treasurer's report?
Exactly the same as last month. No expenses, no income. I just received a bill. Yeah, I'm going there.
No, we don't have a deficit.
We've got our post office box renewal, and it is, how much is it, Darla? 168. And that's at the print shop,
Okay.
Oh, it's a print shop, oh, it's that one.
yeah,
This one for the LLC.
yeah. So I need a motion approving that I can go ahead and pay this,
I'll make a motion.
okay?
Okay, motion is to renew the post office box, $168. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, okay. So I don't think you need me for that, you can sign that to the treasurer, right?
Yes.
You can just write the check.
Yeah, I write myself a check every month, it's still good. Yeah.
Yeah, what do you want to do?
And then Ruthie did a fundraiser again for or set it up through Don Chato's Mexican restaurant. And we've got $100 from that fundraiser that night.
Wow.
Thank you, Ruth, and thank you to Don Chato's. And that's the end of my story.
All right, thank you. So support Don Chato's, they always support us. They,
Yes.
every time we ask for a fundraiser, they oblige us. So they're a good community partner. All right, Sheriff's report, Deputy Sheriff.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Hope everybody survived the little rain we had the other day that wasn't expected.
No.
And it should be noted that Lake Acton does live up to its name of Lake
Yes, it
Acton.
does.
Which unfortunately, I feel bad because some of the people that were there, I was there till midnight that night, which is what I do. Apparently, we're never told that it was on a floodplain. So once it flooded and the
What?
connexes came loose and went drifting, I'm going,
They didn't know it was a floodplain?
that's what a couple of people who were renting there told me, is they had no idea it was a floodplain and.
Really?
It's
All right,
like,
Mr. Mayor.
maps.
But it floods every year.
Yeah.
well, we have rain, yeah,
Yeah.
but we haven't had, I mean, it didn't do too bad this last period,
Every
not
time
like
you
it did.
went down Crown Valley, it was pure mud.
Yeah, Crown Valley, but.
Yeah, Crown
not where that
Valley.
was, yeah.
And we've never done anything about that.
Well,
No, he's talking about,
talking about the storage yards.
Well, that was, that's,
Oh,
isn't that
that's-
part
That's flooded.
of Lake Acton? Right there?
That's,
Yeah.
well,
It is like that.
I remember 20 years ago that place was flooded.
yeah, well, it's unfortunately, it's the design of the way it is, the street.
It got a lot better, you know, those homes they were trying, that 160 some odd homes they were trying to build up there years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And they came back in and tried to build it again, and they made you put in that catch basin.
Right.
And that catch basin was put in, wasn't it? Because they were trying to go forward, they never put it in.
No, what they did is they did a lot of grading.
That saved that whole area, because had they not done that grading, it would have been 10 times.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it's the way the design, I mean, the road slants down and then it kind of goes up.
Everything
It's
runs
solid
down
down and
here.
it's a basin.
Everywhere.
Unfortunately,
Well, it's-
you know, I feel bad because there were lots of homes that were damaged and businesses. and-
Yeah.
But it took everybody by surprise.
3 inches in and out.
Yeah, well, I talked to the weather service, and at one point, had it gone for the full hour, it was 9 inches, equivalent to, would have been 9 inches per hour. But that was in a short period, like a 3-minute period. And then it lightened up, if you call that lightening up. But it was, yeah, it was like 3 inches is what it rained, 3 inches per hour. And there were areas other than Lake Acton that were, because we got a car stuck. And it was like, they thought there was a road there, but there was no road, so. I will say, we changed things around the way we responded. We actually had teams from Santa Clarita, Lancaster, Crescenta Valley, Altadena, and Malibu all respond. Sheriffs. They're on the response network. We all respond to, and they sent numerous units up to help block streets and check on residences. And like I said, we were here till when the fire department said it was clear, and road department says we got it from here, then they break us down real quick. Same thing with fire. It's like, okay, we're all gone, call us if you need us. But yeah, we had response teams from the whole north end of the county show up, which was kind of nice. So yeah, what the philosophy is now is if it goes through our, used to be called emergency operations, it's now department operations center, it's manned 24 hours. So if they hear something, they call the station and go, hey, are you gonna need units? Yeah, we probably need a couple. They just activate everybody. And said, we'll just send everybody we can. If you don't need them, send them home, but at least they're coming. So it took us a little bit to gear up, but by 7 o'clock we had all of our units in place, and that was good. So, I was glad to see him. All right, quick reminder before I go to the reports. Tuesday and Wednesday, the bike race will take place,
Yeah.
which you all heard about. So they're gonna be, if they don't have them up already by tonight, they're supposed to be the blinking signs that say Soledad's closed, can't go there. The bike race is scheduled, it's tomorrow is the time trials. And those are basically scheduled, it's a 5-mile loop is all they're gonna do. So they're gonna start, the road will close at 7:30, I think it is, or 8. And then the race will start, or the time trial, and it's Acton Park to KOA and back. And then they're done for the day. That's the time trial. They'll be sending them out in groups. And then wherever they place, that's where they start. Wednesday is the big race. It's a 53K race. And it's basically Acton Park, Soledad to Agua Dulce, Agua Dulce to Davenport, Davenport to Sierra, Sierra to Ward, Ward to Escondido, and then back to Acton Park.
Okay.
And that's gonna be a rolling closure. In other words, we'll have units ahead and behind, and as they're rolling, we'll block streets and driveways, and as they go through, we open it back up. So we don't want to impact everybody with closing roads for that period, because I think the race they budgeted for start time of 8 o'clock and end time of 2. So they don't want to, we're not going to close streets that long up here.
Is the park ready?
Park is ready. We
Does
have
it still
the,
have yellow tape all over it?
yeah, they're going to take, supposed to take that down either first thing tomorrow morning or tonight, because we had a walk through this afternoon with the road department and parks, and it's supposed to be good to go. So some of the yellow tape may be up because they're gonna be putting all their bicycle venue stuff in the parking lot, all the vendor tables and everything, the registration's all gonna be in the paid parking lot. Our stuff is gonna be, our command post is on the other side. So they may have left the tape up for that too. But I noticed, yeah, it's, but they told us we're all ready to go, the restrooms will be open, things are fine. I will say though, we do have innovative people in town, because during the flood, the highway patrol blocked Crown Valley before the park and Syracuse before the park.
Well, it's easy to get around.
Exactly, people drove through the park, right through the grass. Yep, they decided they didn't want to pay attention to the roadblocks, and they cut through the park, cut through the lawns, and went out Crown Valley, or they came in the other way, because we're just cops, what do we know? So, one person apparently told the CHP, I've been around here 40 years, you guys don't know crap, and I know how it goes, and I'm going home. Okay.
Perfect.
Obviously, you didn't make it home.
Well, unfortunately, had there been roving cars, and we didn't have enough to do that, and you get caught doing that, going around a barricade, that's a misdemeanor. That's probably going to cost you like between $4,000 and $7,000 to get rid of, to take care of that ticket, because disobeying orders of a law enforcement officer or firefighter and going around a barricade are very expensive. And I hate to see someone get that ticket, but it's still, I guess, they know more than we do, then it must be okay. All right, last month we had 34 incidents of reports out of the calls. We had, unfortunately, one rape of someone under 18. In Acton. 4 burglary residents, 2 of those were attempts. 1 burglary of another structure, 1 grand theft, 3 grand theft vehicles, which is still popular because unfortunately we still live in a town where people leave the keys to their cars in the ashtrays and in the consoles with the doors unlocked. And unfortunately, some people know that, and a lot of these, they're not being stole for parts. Somebody knows it, they take the car, they joyride till they run out of gas, and we find it off of Carson Mesa or in the ditch off of, the other side of the riverbed out of gas. Let's see, we had 2 cases of worthless documents forgery. 2 non-aggravated assault, which is a side I've never figured out that term, because if someone hits me, that's pretty aggravating. But what non-aggravated means, it's done with hands and not with an instrument. So it's a lesser assault, but it's still an assault. We had 1 felony vandalism, 2 misdemeanor vandalisms, 4 petty thefts, 3 suspected child abuse reports, which turned out to be no crime, 4 non-criminal reports, which is either like lost property, found license plate on the ground. Those are non-criminal reports when we do them. 1 miscellaneous accident, 2 miscellaneous reports, and 3 vehicles towed, impounded. So, and 34, it's less than what we've had. If you look at the stats real quick, we are, on the burglary totals, we are actually up 36% over last July, a year ago. And grand thefts, we are 26% over. But if you look at the different qualities overall, we're down. So, and 1 crime, for example, we had aggravated assaults. We had the 3 this month, and we had 1 a year ago. We had 1, so that becomes a 66% increase just by having the 3. And you're not talking, I mean, the numbers aren't big, but you talk small numbers, the percentage looks bigger. I mean, if you were to take that to Palmdale, if they had 3 assaults, it would be like 0.00001%. So it looks at portion of population.
This month?
This past month, yeah.
Oh, past month.
Yeah, for July. Yeah. And so in July, started out slow and then got busier, which sometimes we have it the other way. It's busy the first half and it dies the second. But I don't know if it's because of holiday, people out of town. The heat has a lot to do with it because people work outside all day. You know, a lot of times you don't drink enough water, you drink other stuff. Then you go into the house, the Dodgers lose, you get mad, and then who's ever in front of you is fair game. And we do have a lot of incidents. If you look at it overall, it starts out because of it's not just I blow up and it happens. It's something that's, you know, we can attribute a lot of it to weather. The hotter it gets, the more fights go up. Colder it gets, they go down unless it's a long period. And then people become housebound. And then they go up again. So it's a cyclic, and you can track a lot of this to weather and the full moon cycle, believe it or not. They do a lot of studies, and full moons tend to bring out the worst in a lot of people. So, but if anybody wants any specifics, I do have those on, you know, where exactly they are. But yeah, it was interesting. We've had a couple of, the petty thefts, by the way, were all shoplifts from local merchants. So, and that's just something, either they're reporting more of it, or we've had a ration of, you know, people coming in who don't live here. We do have a lot of homeless people, unfortunately, that are living in town. A lot of them are children that are no longer living with their parents, and they're living in riverbeds. And I pretty much contacted a lot of them. That's how I know that they were thrown out of their homes and not live there, and they have no jobs. So unfortunately, there's no crime against being homeless. So unless they're on somebody's private property, there's not a lot. They want to sleep by the side of the road. With today's rules, they're allowed to sleep on the side of the road. So we just do what we can. Yes, ma'am.
Do you know of any results from the homeless count?
No. They were supposed to share them with us, and I haven't heard, although we had a homeless count here. I was kind of involved with it. They were like, oh, we're going to go to Acton and see how many homeless there are. And I go, well, where are you going to go? Well, we're going to drive up and down Crown Valley, up and down Soledad, up and down Sierra. I go, well, you'll never find them. And I gave them the list of where some of them were, and I heard they didn't want to go off the beaten path. They were just kind of going, oh, we see a tent, that must be a homeless person. We'll go up, and if there's more than one, we'll put 2 tick marks. oh, we see one over here, that's another, but just what I was relayed, they weren't going off the major roads, it was kind of like, well, let's see what we see. So, yes, sir.
Deputy Short, where do we stand on the sheriff's substation?
It's in work. It's right now going through our legal process because they have to look at any kind of a lease, has to be approved by the top. Because they have to make sure that either, you know, he's being compensated fair and equitable, or that, yes, we can do it for the agreed upon amount, which he said was rent-free, but it still has to go through a legal and county council, and sometimes that's slow. I talked to our station captain and our station lieutenant, they're like 100% behind it. I've talked to CHP, they want to come in and use the office. Our cops teams want to come in and use the office, so they want to use it. It's like, ooh, this would be cool, we'll have an office here in Acton, and we can go in and this will be good. So I talked to the captain of CHP AV. I said, we'll get you a lockbox with a key, your guys can come in, you can have your flyers there, whatever you need. And they're like all for it too, so it looks good. And we brought that all up to command staff going, hey, here's the support we have for it. So
But we're looking forward to it as well.
yeah, I'm hoping it comes soon. So even our volunteers said they would step up and work a couple of days in. So it's like, well, that's good. But, so we're hoping.
Soon would be this year, or soon would be?
This year, yeah. I'm hoping by September.
September, oh, that is,
I'm hoping for a September 1st opening, so. And if it is, we'll come back to the next meeting and say, hey, guess what? We'll be open. And it may just open unofficially without a sign on it, but it'll be there. So we'll put a sticker or something so everybody knows who we are. All right, let's see, they cover everything. Oh, and just as a request, if you have dollars worth of jewels from place A to B, can I get a permit to protect myself?
So-
You probably get one.
Right there, money and jewelry is more important than somebody's life.
Well, it's not that.
in my,
It's not that, but if you say, hey, I want it because I'm afraid on my own property that someone's gonna come in and shoot me. Well, if they come in your house, different story. But they're gonna say, well, wait a minute, you go to a town where the average police response is 3 minutes, what do you need a gun for? I'm just telling you the way they look at it. They're going, well, we got, 50 police cars in Palmdale, Lancaster, the average response time is 2 to 3 minutes. You call, we show up, what's your need for having one? So, now, if you're a business owner, on your business property, yeah, you can get away with it. If you're on your business property. In your house, you can wear a gun in your house all you want.
how about on my property?
Once you go outside, it's a different story. So, because California has done away with the open carry. We're no longer an open carry state. You can't even carry unloaded like you used to be able to. So, and this, you can thank some of the groups who decided to make objection to it by openly challenging and showing up with a gun going, you can't search me, I'm allowed to carry one. Well, no, you have to read the law. If you have a gun, whether you have a concealed permit or whether you're carrying it on your hip, law enforcement has the right to stop you at any time to determine, are you legally carrying the gun? Is the gun legally belong to you? Or are you a parolee or a felon who shouldn't be possessing one? And when they refuse to give one up and show you, no, you can't look at it, the Senate and Congress goes, oh, we've got to do something about it, so we'll take the whole thing away from people. Yes, ma'am?
So when you say it's a different story when you're on your own property but outside of the house, what is that different?
Because that's
story?
deemed to be out in public.
Even if you're on your own property?
Because people are, the way they look at it is, you can, if you're on your own property and it's a big property, can the public come onto your property?
No,
Well, your delivery man does.
no. I have a livestock gate, he doesn't come in on our property.
Okay, but still, you can retreat into your house. You have a place to go.
What if you're handicapped?
The law doesn't, I don't make the laws.
What if a mountain lion's in your house?
I'm not getting in my house.
I have a coyote on my property, it's threatening my animals.
That's
Tell me I
not,
can't take it down.
that's not concealed carry. concealed carries walking around with it.
You want to
Yeah,
open
that's not even concealed if it's in the open.
Could we get back to the agenda? I really wanted to talk about the cannabis. and-
We're gonna talk about the cannabis.
Good luck. So, we don't even know how that's going. So,
Yeah, neither do we.
yeah. So, anyway, so anybody have any other questions they wanna? Because I can't answer those other ones, so. All right,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
take care.
Library report.
Good evening, everybody. All right, library land. Everything is going great at the library, as usual. Some things we got coming up. Coming up, starting on August 14th, we're going to be having our annual bookmark contest. If you haven't, not aware of it from previous years, kids of all ages, they can grab an application here at the library. They get to decorate and design their own bookmark. Bookmarks will be judged, and winning bookmarks throughout the whole library system will actually be printed in color as bookmarks to be given away to anybody who walks in the library. So it's kind of fun. If you know anyone interested, send them on in after next week. I'll have applications for them. The information will also all be online. Other than that, I got my schedule of programs all in the back, but some of the highlights are, for the kids, we have this Artopia program going on. I've got a whole ton of arts and crafts supplies that are out on the tables, and it's really just a free creation of art. So kids come in and they pick whatever art supplies they want to make something with, and then they make something. It's all about the act of the creation of the art, not necessarily the product. So it's really fun. The kids who've been coming the last couple weeks really enjoyed it. I've got it going every Monday night through the rest of the, or every Monday afternoon, I'm sorry, through the rest of the month. What else? I also have, we're trying something out new here, documentary screenings. So I've got a movie documentary coming up next week. The Fred Korematsu story. It's about the internment camps during World War II for the Japanese. So it should be interesting. And my goal is to have kind of one of those every month and see what comes on, so we'll see. We're having our end of the summer ice cream social sponsored by our friends at the library. They do it every year. End of the summer reading program. They have ice cream sundaes for all the kids and participants of the program. That will be on Tuesday the 15th at 3 p.m. I mean, who doesn't love ice cream? Right? Let's see here. Also, if you haven't heard by now, there is going to be a solar eclipse happening all across the United States on Monday the 21st. It's going to be in the morning. It's this area. I think we're getting about a 60 to 70% eclipse through here. The full eclipse is really in the middle of the country, and it'd be really cool to be there, but we're not. So key tip for that, do not look at the eclipse. It'll probably be the last thing you see if you try. There are solar glasses you can pick up at a variety of places. One thing we're going to be doing here at the library the previous Friday is actually helping people make eclipse viewers. So it's not something to look up at the sun with, but it'll be a tube the light shines through, you can watch the eclipse on a piece of paper. It's kind of cool. So we'll be having those on Friday. Come on by, make one of those, get ready for the eclipse. Those are our big things coming up. Something that's going to be kind of fun. I had some interest. We had a video game program for teens not too long ago. I had some adults come to me and like, well, why not this? So I dusted off an old Nintendo 64. We're having a retro video game day for adults on Thursday, August 24th. I hope I'm not the only one that's really excited about that. Come on by, it should be fun. Last thing I'm going to bring you up. This isn't exactly a new program, but it's something that doesn't get enough talk, so I'm going to mention it here. We have this Discover and Go program available through the library. I've got bookmarks on the back with them. Basically, with your library card, you can get free museum passes. Places like Japanese American National Museum or the La Brea Tar Pits Museum, or even the Kids Space Museum down in Pasadena, which my 3-year-old absolutely loves. But you can get all of these free passes with your library card.
That's cool.
You go on, you pick a date, you show up, and you walk in. It doesn't get much better than that. If you got questions about that or anything else, please let me know. But
Just a quick question on the documentaries, what's the selection process? I'm just curious.
there's a whole selection of documentaries the library has purchased that have, I have to have public performance rights for the DVDs. So they purchase all these DVDs with public performance rights. And I can go through a list and I can choose anything off of that list. So I try and match it up with like Heritage Months and look at something that's interesting or, yeah. Anything else?
Thank you very much.
Oh, one final thing. Labor Day is coming up, September 4th, it's a Monday. We will be closed for that day. So don't try and come, we'll all be out. Thank you.
All right, announcements and correspondences. Not a whole lot for me. It looks like we did get a email from a young man in Acton, Boy Scout, who's looking for an Eagle project. So he's wondering if we have anything that might be suitable. It's not our local troop, but it must be another active troop. I'm not sure which one.
So if
I'll
anyone
take
has an
care of that.
idea for an Eagle project,
Yeah.
please email us and we will put you in touch with them.
Yep. Oh, here we go. Tim Lawrence is this young man's name, and he is with Troop 578, is that?
That's a, I think Palmdale
Is that
group, but some of our kids are in it because sometimes they have more programs than our local one. So I know some of them, kids are in that. Tom?
Yes.
Didn't Sharon mention that you thought this might be a good
Yes.
disaster?
The disaster planning would make a great Eagle project for somebody, so I'm gonna email them.
Or it's a
drop
pretty
that.
big task, so maybe a couple scouts,
Well,
a team,
My understanding is they do not let scouts share projects.
or they can't share.
They cannot share projects, but that project might be able to be divided up into individual projects and take more than one, so.
There was a lady who,
Yes, ma'am.
I was just wondering if it would be possible to move up the cannabis topic. I just
We're going
realized
to.
it's not-
We're going to, okay, as soon as we get through our normal stuff here, we will put the cannabis
it's first,
up first.
first item.
That's my 7-year-old in the back, because the video might go until 9:10.
We will.
Thanks.
Jackie, you have anything?
No,
Okay.
I mean, I'm going through it now, but I'm.
Okay. All right.
We did have another email.
Okay.
It was from a gentleman named Bob Campbell. Said, as usual, it is impossible to reach anywhere in Los Angeles County Department of Health or Regional Planning by phone. Does anybody know the answer to the following question? Are there any limits to the amount of horse manure a horse boarder may accumulate on their property in Acton? If no one knows the answer, is there a specific contact with the county that they know?
That would be health department. They should probably go up there to K6, same place.
I believe you could spread manure up to like 4.
All right, just before everybody gets too excited over this, just a little background. The reason this is on the agenda is that obviously it's legal in California now, and the county's working on ways to regulate not only just the usage and the personal usage and the personal growing, but the commercial aspect of it. So the county's currently working on an ordinance that will provide instruction on where you can grow cannabis for commercial uses. We're not talking about what's in your backyard, what's in your closet. This is for commercial growers. And so far, it looks like what they would like to see is only indoors and only in industrial zone properties. So, and we discussed this at the council 2 weeks ago. The concern that we have as a council is in Acton, we have a lot of industrial properties that butt right against residential properties. So I think what we would like to see is some kind of a buffer zone that prevents a growing facility being next to somebody's house. And that doesn't happen everywhere, okay? In Acton, it can happen because that's the way the zoning is. In some of the other areas of unincorporated, you wouldn't have that situation.
But every single industrially zoned piece of property in Acton abuts on an agriculturally zoned property.
Which is basically residential here.
For-
Okay, so cities like Adelanto apparently have figured out this is a great thing for revenue, and they're setting up a whole tax structure and permitting to take their industrial areas and turn them into cannabis growing. So that's what the topic is here. Some of the other concerns and things we don't know is if you have a growing facility that's commercial, at what point does that become a retail facility? We don't know, this is all new, okay? So like a lot of other industries, like the winery, they have tasting rooms. So there's other concerns that, it's not just a growing facility, it may turn in as a law. It hasn't clarified it yet, but at some point they're gonna have to say, well, you can sell it and all these other things. So that's the basis of this discussion, is how we deal with the commercial aspect of growing and how it affects our community.
And what we tell the county, we as a community want in terms of buffer space, zoning restrictions, and personally, my opinion is the issue of firearms. Because what is being proposed for industrially zoned properties is not just cultivation, but it's also manufacturing, processing, warehousing. So the industrial properties will not only be where plants are, which have a value, but they will also be where oils or whatever, I don't know what they make from these things, but whatever they make and stack up and store, which would have tremendously high value, they would all occur in industrially zoned properties too. And with that, because marijuana sales are still an all-cash business, because the federal government does not, condone the use, and so banks are not used by cannabis business people. It's an all-cash business, and my personal concern that I've raised several times is that these businesses are going to have armed guards and will be targets for armed felons.
Yes.
And they will be right next to our homes. And when I raised this with the county, I was asked if it would be okay if we just limited the gun-toting guard use to just indoors. And I said, well, I don't think that any guard is going to not go outdoors with his gun or her gun. Anyway, and I know Russ went to the county hosted a listening session on Saturday to try to get input from the community, just sort of a preliminary information that we've kicked around. So we're hoping to hear more from you, because maybe we haven't thought of everything, or maybe you don't agree with it. But Russ, I think, well, why don't you tell us what you conveyed?
Before we take questions, let Russ give us an overview of what he found.
Well, I went into this with the expectation that I wanted to get additional information, and we've put together a survey to get information from the community so that the town council can put a position forward relative to this whole cannabis issue. The format of the meeting, which was called the Community Listening Session on Cannabis Regulation, and it was held in the Castaic Sports Complex. The format of the meeting was small group discussions with 6 to 8 participants in each of the groups, and there were approximately 40 to 45 attendees, plus several county employees and 12 employees from an organization called Community Partners, who were hired by the county to facilitate the 6 discussion tables and take notes. Each discussion table segment was 25 minutes, and attendees could join a total of 4 of the 6 tables during the 2-hour meeting, depending on their interests. Each of the 6 discussion tables had a specific topic, with 4 on-topic questions in each of the tables. The 6 topics were youth access and exposure to cannabis, where should cannabis businesses locate, personal cultivation, taxation and revenue, equity and economic development, and general concerns about cannabis legislation and regulation. The format of the meeting was very, very limiting. Opinions truly could have been obtained more easily through a questionnaire on the internet. The facilitators attempted to keep conversation on topic, although they knew nothing about the subject matter. The note takers tried to interpret the comments, and the county staff didn't provide insider clarification. They simply asked for our input in a vacuum. It was pretty much perfunctory. One surprising feature was the number of cannabis industry people who attended and provided input. Their issues had to do with taxation, which would drive the businesses back underground, significant barriers to entry in the business through high permit costs, and the difficulties in making a profit. Another surprising feature was that although this session was to be specifically directed at unincorporated Los Angeles County, the attendees were from Los Angeles and other urban locations, and no one besides us lived in a rural community. There was no understanding whatsoever of our concerns. I brought up the firearms issue at two of the tables, at the proximity table and at the general concerns table, and presented documentation regarding the gun violence, death, and shooting industries at dispensaries in Los Angeles in the past 2 months, some with assault weapons. I mean, there have been a number of murders. I had the goods, I had all the facts. It fell on deaf ears because the topic wasn't on the forums, nobody cared about it. My input at all 4 tables we sat at was that rural communities such as Acton should have the authority to ban commercial cannabis enterprises if they desire. It may or not have been recorded by the note takers, and the only conversation it stimulated was negative. The biggest surprise was the statement that there is a deadline of August 15th for public input. I approached Sherry Thomas, who's the senior manager, the top county person in attendance, and briefed her on our survey, letting her know that we were unaware of an August 15th deadline for the public input, and our survey won't be complete until the end of August. I advised her that we will not be prepared to provide input from the Acton Town Council until after the survey is complete and we get the information from our residents. I have no idea if the Association of Rural Town Councils is aware of this deadline.
They weren't.
She advised us to send an email to the Office of Cannabis Management to let them know that she has granted us approval for a delay in responding. I later found documentation saying that the county will continue to receive and consider comments after August 15th, but late comments will not be included in their report documenting public feedback. And this is even though the urgency ordinance, which expired on the 28th of June, prohibiting any further activity on commercial cultivation of cannabis in unincorporated LA County, has now been extended for another year.
What? Seriously?
In June, it was extended for another year.
I read all the agendas in June, I never saw that.
Yep.
I was in a bunch of board meetings in June, actually.
There was nothing posted on the internet.
It's not, I read
I
them too.
am not happy with this. Good job, Russ.
John got a copy for you.
We should post that on our website.
Yeah.
Can we do that?
Sure.
Russ, that was amazing. Thank you.
He's
Good
got some
research.
great ones. Thank you for going.
You go get him, Russ. You're behind.
We received via email, 2 of the questionnaires already.
Oh, okay.
1 for and 1 against. So
Okay.
we're not a very big sample, but that's it. All right.
Check the library box.
I have not checked the library. box. That's what's being emailed.
I printed all yours out on our email, we had a whole bunch of them.
There's more?
Oh, yeah, there was a whole, like 10 or 15 of them.
I've been going to the mailbox at the print shop, and I've been going to the drop box that I brought over here, and they're starting to come in now. The first week it was kind of flat, and then I think the flood kind of.
So we have a pretty good idea.
We have people here who want research probably.
Okay, so now this is the part where we get your input. We'll start at the back.
Thank you. So I live on the Crown Valley.
Please stand up.
Stand up and say your name.
My
so
name's
that-
Karen Stevie, and we live on Crown Valley Road on the dirt road portion. And there are some people that have moved onto the empty lot across the street from our ranch whom I haven't met, but they told the neighbors that they are going to be farming pot on 5 acres and that they have their permits in order. And it's open air, there's just barbed wire, there's no security. So I was very concerned, I wanted to find out if that was true. My husband has seen a pot growing facility in Los Angeles, and they have high walls, armed guards, 24/7, it's grown inside. And I think that's what you need. It would be a target for theft, and all of the residences around this open facility, if it ever came to pass, would be easy to rob on the way out. So I think that if you're going to be growing medical marijuana or for any other purpose, it needs to be in an industrial area with heavy guard, away from residences, away from.
When you say away from, because this, now we're getting to the nitty gritty where we need to talk. Is there a distance you'd want to see, or it can't abut any residential property or property that could be used for residential purposes?
If there's no security, I don't even think that the industrial area is okay, because it's going to be hit. I mean, it's going to draw everybody who wants it. It's worse than a pharmacy, where a pharmacy will have a range of products of value. Everything in a pot farm or a dispensary is of value.
Yes.
So if it does not have adequate security, no matter where you put it, I think it would be a target for theft, and it would have a liability for all of the businesses and industry around it. I don't know how big a buffer between the industry and the residents would be, but we're up in Crown Valley, and there's no industrial area out there at all. It's all horse property.
Well, the county did, I think, pass, or they're about to pass, the personal growth
Right.
limit, which
No,
is
they wanna do
4
5
or
acres.
5 plants.
It's 5 acres.
6 plants, okay.
Yeah, they're talking 5 acres. So
Yeah.
And what, did they say they had permits in
They
order?
told the neighbors that they had permits, and I
There's no
spoke
such
with the
thing.
owner.
They're not even issuing those yet for medicinal marijuana.
Or any.
And they can't grow
have a water tank
outdoors.
installed, and they've told the neighbors that they're all in order, and they're gonna be farming pot on 5 acres.
If they're exceeding 6 plants, they're breaking the law. And if they're farming it for their own consumption, and if they're farming it for medicinal marijuana, it's gotta be indoors, it's gotta be so far as. we
And
see
even
it on
indoors
this
has a
property.
limited number.
Right.
Pardon me?
There's a limit on the numbers you grow indoors as well.
Indoors, it's gotta be in an enclosed.
So I think our main concern as a family would be bringing crime to the area, decreasing property values. And if it's not sufficiently guarded, I just don't see how that would ever work.
No,
You know,
I agree.
No matter where you put it, it's gotta have
You
sufficient
know what?
security.
In all fairness, I understand what you're saying, okay, I do. It is for a medical thing. My wife suffers from, RA.
Oh, I
okay?
support medical use.
Okay, well, fine, that's great, and I understand what you're saying, you're concerned about it and everything. Recent study, it's on CNN, just came out, study of marijuana legalization doesn't increase crime. If it's done right, if it's done right, it can be fine, but I understand what you're
Why
concerned.
can't it be done right someplace
Okay,
else?
hang on a second, let's not get out of hand here.
That's not,
We're, you know,
but there's many ways to do stuff. I'm not saying why that's so.
We don't have alcohol producing, we don't have Beecham Smith here making drugs, we don't have Budweiser here making beer. Most of us.
But we have it in Allen County.
Yes, but not here, not Acton. Let it be someplace else, just not Acton.
Let me just real quick.
All right, one at a time.
I work back and forth with people. I'm fine with medical marijuana.
Can I
don't have an issue with that. So.
but I want to ask a question here.
Yeah.
You say you need a certain amount of security, you'd be all right with it. Who here wants industries that require that amount of security? That's what I'd like to
I
know.
don't want it in a residential area or in this rural area. I think it belongs away from where people live. I just don't think it's an industry that is going to be acceptable by everybody in a community, and it's not fair if it affects everybody's property values or safety. I know he doesn't agree with me on this point, but I know that dispensaries have been a target of theft, violent theft sometimes. That's the dispensary, this is the production part of it. So
Well, actually, no, it's not, that's the thing, it's not just the production part, it's also the storage of all the
The
materials.
whole thing.
So
Yeah,
it's,
so
what they
I'm
sell
opposed.
in the retail
Right.
will be stored in the
Right.
facilities we're talking about.
I'm opposed to it being in the town, I'm not opposed to medical marijuana, I don't think it's an appropriate venue here, it needs to be in a specific place. So just like special zoning for that. You wouldn't have an opioid facility advertised in your town, or have your town be known for opioid facilities for, you know, security and think nothing would happen. So that's where I'm at. I'm opposed, but
Well, you're opposed to the dispensary, you're to the whole 9 yards.
I'm opposed to a dispensary in the town, as
So
well
am I.
as for
So am I. I
farming
agree.
it commercially in the town,
Yeah.
for the reasons that I gave.
Right.
And I think there are other areas that would be better.
But growing can be done way, way back when no one's even connected with it.
Well, that's what we're discussing, okay? So the counties,
So it could be beneficial to the town. It could be.
hold on a second.
Why is it
Let me have the floor here, okay?
Oh, because they don't, unfortunately, we call it a kickback, which is illegal, but they can all donate, make it a
All right, just a
and
moment.
they do already.
Okay,
In Colorado,
we're looking at-
they're making money in
Okay,
this.
the county is gonna create an ordinance, they're on it right now, that's gonna govern the commercial growing storage of it, okay? That is what is going to affect us, so you can't put it way out there because we don't have industrial zone properties, and that's all they're considering right now. We don't have industrial properties way out there, we have ag properties way out there. Our industrial properties,
Yeah, there's a lot of industrial property sitting out here, 790, 980 acres, sitting back, way back off of here.
Not industrially zoned.
Not industrial zone.
According to the map search, there is. Yeah, look at your map.
In
That's-
trust me, I know those maps backwards.
yeah.
Yeah, that would be great if you could show us that, because I also want to caution, when we say put it way out there, the people we are talking to are people who live in downtown Los Angeles. So as far as they're concerned, Acton as a whole is already way out there.
Yeah, we're way out there.
So, yeah.
I agree.
But if you could pull up that map, because as far as I know, the only industrially zoned properties of which I'm aware in this community are primarily centered
The
along
one sitting next to the
Soledad.
76 gas station? No, there's a lot more than that. That
No,
one's.
there's Soledad Canyon,
Yeah,
there's
there's
all
downtown
Sierra
Acton,
Highway.
there's some on
No, no,
Sierra
no.
Highway, Red Rover.
Those are all, yeah, they're primarily down in Soledad, but there's
But
not,
he's
there,
talking about 800
there aren't
acres
any
somewhere.
way out, what we would call way out there.
That's all A2.
Now, it's commercial on the other, if you're going north on the 14, when you get out of the Acton CSD, that's also commercial.
That's commercial, but not industrial.
That's not industrial, so
Right.
I don't, yeah, most of our industrial's downtown and in Soledad, right?
Right, most of them, yeah.
So,
Couple
yes,
of
ma'am.
farms here.
My name is Melissa Nicholson, and I live in Shannon Valley. And my husband and I bought this property to have my horses on and to enjoy the rural aspect of this community. I have lived out in the Acton area since 1997, and I believe strongly that I own pot stocks, but I don't want it here. I want it someplace else. And I'm sorry about the NIMBY attitude, but the bottom line is I didn't move out here to move next to a pot growing farm. It's not like growing lettuce. It's not like growing radishes. They seem to think because it grows, it can be out here where nobody is. It's not. It is a drug-producing activity, manufacturing activity, and it needs to be thought of like that. And I really want to encourage that sort of thinking, that growing pot, even though it's in dirt, is producing a drug. So why don't we present it that way? Is that, look, yes, you're using some earth to do it, but you're producing drugs. And what should we do with that? We'll put it where other people produce drugs. Because they all produce their opiums and their opioids and all that other good stuff inside buildings with security where there's major transportation, not near residential areas. And I don't see any difference except there's earth involved. So I would really love to encourage our town council to present it that way. They're making drugs, and which is fine. I think that's great that they make drugs, but they should make those drugs in the same places that they make drugs.
Thank you.
I'm writing down everybody's comments, so I'm just assuming no drugs anywhere here, not even, no sales, no warehousing, no cultivation.
Nothing, that they don't make drugs out here. Make them when they make other drugs.
I'm Kathleen Trinity, and I think that's an excellent idea. I would like to second that. I think homes come first, families and our, homesteads are primary, and I don't think we should let anything threaten it. And I do have one question now. Do they, even if they were on, let's say, 5 acres, do they have to be in a covered area, some kind of farm structure to be grown, or can they be grown out, in the fields?
My understanding of what they're contemplating is only on industrially zoned property, and they've asked the listing sessions to ask if it should be indoors or not. They're leaning towards indoors, but they want to hear input on it. Would you agree with that, Ruth?
Well, I would like to say definitely that it should be in some sort of a structure.
I mean, if those people up Crown Valley are growing for personal use and they're exceeding 6 plants, they're breaking the law.
Well, that's what the situation that was just described is out of context of anything that's ever been discussed, and it's not allowed, yeah. But Kathleen, I want to understand, because you were seconding this other lady's idea about none here at all. But saying none here at all and saying putting it indoors are two different things.
With this industrial exception.
We're only talking about industrial right now.
Definitely have to be inside some sort of structure.
Right. So under that, would you be okay then with having marijuana cultivated here?
I personally, I would like to see it.
Yeah, I have a comment. According to the county, they're building this framework of regulations. The legislation, it actually left power to the cities to be able to either ban or to, regulate it and tax it and whatnot. Santa Clarita Valley has chosen to ban.
Completely, yes.
Yay. Why can't, we're not a city, but why can't we choose to ban? If our survey shows that our residents don't want it.
That was my input.
Let's do this. Who would want to see it banned? Let's see a show of hands. Okay, so 1, 2, 3.
As far as commercial cultivation in Acton.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We got 9, okay. Ban it times 9. Okay. Is there anyone here in favor of commercial cultivation or warehousing or processing or manufacturing on industrially zoned properties in Acton? Okay.
It's a little unclear on would you totally ban it? It's got to be further looked at. And by the way, here, I got the websites.
Okay.
You want to see it?
Yeah, that would be great.
This one's 920 acres.
It's zoned industrial.
It's zoned industrial. I pulled it up, it's industrial.
Here.
Here, in Acton. Shows it right outside. But look, is there a way to do it? Yes. Can it be beneficial? Yes, it has. If you look at the way Colorado is set up and everything, but it could be a money maker.
Why is it beneficial? What are the
How's it
Colorado.
beneficial to act? It's an
Well,
unincorporated
Colorado,
area.
well, what if you got, it was safe, everything was done right, and you got 10% of revenues?
We don't.
We don't.
It donated. Donated to the, what did they set it up like that?
But we don't even have a structure to take 10% of revenue.
What if you
We're
did?
unincorporated.
What if you did?
Well, then that's not the way unincorporated areas are set up.
Well, Liz, I think the
Well,
county.
yeah, it wasn't set up to grow pot either in this country. So you change things.
Okay.
You made,
So-
it's just a change, that's all you look at, that's all.
So what you're really looking at is incorporation of Acton and configuring it in such a way to take money from pot growing. I mean, that's a major paradigm shift for this community.
Well, but I do want to ask a question. Go ahead. Because I think it's fair we need to get everyone's. Can I ask you how you would imagine? Because we could ask just cultivation, but not processing and all that other stuff. How would you handle security if you accept for a moment the premise that all of our industrially zoned properties are abutting residential properties or residentially zoned properties?
Well, that wouldn't be the right place to have it. Number one, I agree with you.
Okay,
Up against-
all right, well, that's
up
good.
against
Okay.
residential property? No.
Okay.
No, that makes no sense.
Okay.
Okay, you want it, or schools, or churches, anything of that nature, you don't want it there.
Okay.
Look, maybe you only can find maybe 3 areas in this whole area could be done.
Okay.
Let's say, okay, it's away from everything, okay?
Okay.
Now, it's gotta be done indoors. You can't have it in the open air because, whoa, everyone smells it. Now they know where to go.
Well, I
okay?
just wanna make sure I understand
They're
the
gonna know.
limits of everybody's supply.
Oh, what?
They're gonna know where to go.
Why, you want yellow cages? Come on.
Well,
They're gonna know where to go.
they're gonna grow indoors because they want the extended growing cycle of artificial light. That's a given. Nobody grows pot outdoors. and make money.
better grow,
All that stuff. So indoors is where professionals are gonna wanna grow it. They're not gonna wanna have it out. You know, so,
I have no problem with somebody for personal consumption, having their 6 plants. They're probably gonna furnish all their friends, whatever.
Well, yeah,
I
that's-
understand
that's not
that,
what we're
I
talking
get
about.
it, I'm not a smoker, but I get it. But I do agree with the lady in the back that it should be treated as a drug, as a medication, because that's what it's being promoted as medical marijuana.
It's recreational approved now.
No, as far as recreational, they should be able to grow in their homes in a small amount,
Right,
whatever. But as far as commercial cultivation, it should be treated as the drug that it is, if it's gonna be marketed for medicinal use.
But
And I
that's- I
believe
don't-
that needs to be in a more controlled environment. We are sitting ducks here being.
Ruth, I
rural.
understand that, but I don't believe that's the way the county's looking at this
Yeah, the
ordinance.
county is
They're looking at this
looking at
ordinance as commercial growing for, not for medicine, but for, recreational use, thank you. So this is the commercial growing, and it's gonna be sold for recreational use.
But you gotta have the commercial growing also to take care of the medical.
Right, but we're not talking about that, because right now we have
And I like
ordinances.
her alcohol comment too, because she's right.
But right now, we have ordinances that if you grow for medical marijuana, you have a list of buyers and they limit the amount, and that, all that's gonna change obviously in time, but that's already kinda happened, so this is not impacted. This is, what we're talking about is the assumption there's gonna be a large need for recreational use. Therefore, you're gonna need commercial growers to fill that recreational need. You're gonna need the distilleries, you're gonna need the Budweiser plant.
Part of the problem
That's
you're
the
gonna
premise.
have
I
though
would
is
call it
as the,
demand, not a need.
as the law goes further into effect, okay, the medical, even for the medical use, I mean, it's already coming out. There's a problem in California, they can't grow enough weed. Well, why? Because they're busting all the pot farms and they're doing all that. They can't even fulfill it for the medical side of it, what they want to use it for there. So there's going to be an issue that comes up. If you have the advantage, if it can be beneficial, and just look at it from is it beneficial? That's all you're looking at. If it doesn't work out and it doesn't look like it's good for the community, you definitely don't want it around schools, you don't want kids around it. I'm totally down on dispensaries. I don't want it around where I live. No, I agree with you. But if you have the soil in the area, in the climate where you can grow it, they can do it right, and it's put away where it's not gonna be an issue, it's like everything.
But all of those things are not real because they grow it inside in controlled climates with the soil they
Right.
bring in, has nothing to do with here.
Exactly. All right, this gentleman in the back.
They grow
wanted to
outside
make a comment. Okay, we have a gentleman in the back who'd like
Like
to speak.
Stevie in Acton Valley, what the gentleman was saying is that would never work. It would, you cannot just all of a sudden have one place, it would just explode.
All right, just before everybody gets too excited over this, just a little background. The reason this is on the agenda is that obviously it's legal in California now, and the county's working on ways to regulate not only just the usage and the personal usage and the personal growing, but the commercial aspect of it. So the county's currently working on an ordinance that will provide instruction on where you can grow cannabis for commercial uses. We're not talking about what's in your backyard, what's in your closet. This is for commercial growers. And so far, it looks like what they would like to see is only indoors and only in industrial zone properties. So, and we discussed this at the council 2 weeks ago. The concern that we have as a council is in Acton, we have a lot of industrial properties that butt right against residential properties. So I think what we would like to see is some kind of a buffer zone that prevents a growing facility being next to somebody's house. And that doesn't happen everywhere, okay? In Acton, it can happen because that's the way the zoning is. In some of the other areas of unincorporated, you wouldn't have that situation.
But every single industrially zoned piece of property in Acton abuts on an agriculturally zoned property.
Which is basically residential here.
For-
Okay, so cities like Adelanto apparently have figured out this is a great thing for revenue. and they're setting up a whole tax structure and permitting to take their industrial areas and turn them into cannabis growing. So that's what the topic is here. Some of the other concerns and things we don't know is if you have a growing facility that's commercial, at what point does that become a retail facility? We don't know. This is all new. Okay, so like a lot of other industries, like the winery, they have tasting rooms. So there's other concerns that it's not just a growing facility. It may turn in as the law hasn't clarified it yet, but at some point they're going to have to say, well, you can sell it and all these other things. So that's the basis of this discussion, is how we deal with the commercial aspect of growing and how it affects our community.
And what we tell the county, we as a community want in terms of buffer space, zoning restrictions, and personally, my opinion is the issue of firearms, because what is being proposed for industrially zoned properties is not just cultivation, but it's also manufacturing, processing, warehousing. So the industrial properties will not only be where plants are, which have a value, but they will also be where oils or whatever I don't know what they make from these things, but whatever they make and stack up and store, which would have tremendously high value, they would all occur in industrially zoned properties too. And with that, because marijuana sales are still an all-cash business, because the federal government does not, condone the use, and so banks are not used by cannabis business people. It's an all-cash business, and my personal concern that I've raised several times is that these businesses are going to have armed guards and will be targets for armed felons.
Yes.
And they will be right next to our homes. And when I raised this with the county, I was asked if it would be okay if we just limited the gun-toting guard use to just indoors. And I said, well, I don't think that any guard is going to not go outdoors with his gun or her gun. Anyway, and I know Russ went to the county hosted a listening session on Saturday to try to get input from the community, just sort of a preliminary information that we've kicked around. So we're hoping to hear more from you, because maybe we haven't thought of everything, or maybe you don't agree with it. But Russ, I think, well, why don't you tell us what you conveyed?
Before we take questions, let Russ give us an overview of what he found.
Well, I went into this with the expectation that I wanted to get additional information, and we've put together a survey to get information from the community so that the town council can put a position forward relative to this whole cannabis issue. The format of the meeting, which was called the Community Listening Session on Cannabis Regulation, and it was held in the Castaic Sports Complex. The format of the meeting was small group discussions with 6 to 8 participants in each of the groups. And there were approximately 40 to 45 attendees, plus several county employees and 12 employees from an organization called Community Partners, who were hired by the county to facilitate the 6 discussion tables and take notes. Each discussion table segment was 25 minutes, and attendees could join a total of 4 of the 6 tables during the 2-hour meeting, depending on their interests. Each of the 6 discussion tables had a specific topic, with 4 on-topic questions in each of the tables. The 6 topics were youth access and exposure to cannabis, where should cannabis businesses locate, personal cultivation, taxation and revenue, equity and economic development, and general concerns about cannabis legislation and regulation. The format of the meeting was very, very limiting. Truly could have been obtained more easily through a questionnaire on the internet. The facilitators attempted to keep conversation on topic, although they knew nothing about the subject matter. The note takers tried to interpret the comments, and the county staff didn't provide insider clarification. They simply asked for our input in a vacuum. It was pretty much perfunctory. One surprising feature was the number of cannabis industry people who attended and provided input. Their issues had to do with taxation, which would drive the businesses back underground, significant barriers to entry in the business through high permit costs, and the difficulties in making a profit. Another surprising feature was that although this session was to be specifically directed at unincorporated Los Angeles County, the attendees were from Los Angeles and other urban locations, and no one besides us lived in a rural community. There was no understanding whatsoever of our concerns. I brought up the firearms issue at two of the tables, at the proximity table and at the general concerns table, and presented documentation regarding the gun violence, death, and shooting industries at dispensaries in Los Angeles in the past 2 months, some with assault weapons. I mean, there have been a number of murders. I had the goods, I had all the facts. It fell on deaf ears because the topic wasn't on the forums, nobody cared about it. My input at all 4 tables we sat at was that rural communities such as Acton should have the authority to ban commercial cannabis enterprises if they desire. It may or not have been recorded by the note takers, and the only conversation it stimulated was negative. The biggest surprise was the statement that there is a deadline of August 15th for public input. I approached Sherry Thomas, who's the senior manager, the top county person in attendance, and briefed her on our survey, letting her know that we were unaware of an August 15th deadline for the public input, and our survey won't be complete until the end of August. I advised her that we will not be prepared to provide input from the Acton Town Council until after the survey is complete and we get the information from our residents. I have no idea if the Association of Rural Town Councils is aware of this deadline. She advised us to send an email to the Office of Cannabis Management to let them know that she has granted us approval for a delay in responding. I later found documentation saying that the county will continue to receive and consider comments after August 15th, but late comments will not be included in their report documenting public feedback. Now this is even though the urgency ordinance, which expired on the 28th of June, prohibiting any further activity on commercial cultivation of cannabis in unincorporated LA County, has now been extended for another year.
What? Seriously?
In June, it was extended for another year.
I read all the agendas in June, I never saw that.
Yep.
I was at a bunch of board meetings in June, actually.
There was nothing posted on the internet. It's not,
I am not happy with this. Good job, Russ.
Yeah, I got a copy for you.
We should post that on our website. Can we do that?
Sure.
Russ, that was amazing. Thank you.
It's
Good research.
Thank you for going.
You go get him, Russ. You're behind.
We received two, via email, 2 of the questionnaires already.
Oh, okay.
One for and one against. So we're not a very big sample, but that's it. All right.
Check the library box?
I have not checked the library box. That's just me.
I printed all yours out on our email, we had a whole bunch of them.
There's more?
Oh, yeah, there was a whole like 10 or 15 of them.
I've been going to the mailbox, at the print shop, and I'm going to the drop box that I brought over here, and, they're starting to come in now. The first week it was kind of flat, and then I think the flood kind of.
So we have a pretty good idea.
Yeah. We have people here who want, we should probably.
Okay, so now this is the part where we get your input. We'll start at the back.
Thank you. So I live on the Crown Valley.
Please stand up.
Stand up and say your name.
My name's Karen Stevie, and we live on Crown Valley Road on the dirt road portion. And there are some people that have moved onto the empty lot across the street from our ranch whom I haven't met, but they told the neighbors that they are going to be farming pot on 5 acres and that they have their permits in order. And it's open air, there's just barbed wire, there's no security. So I was very concerned, I wanted to find out if that was true. My husband has seen a pot growing facility in Los Angeles, and they have high walls, armed guards, 24/7, it's grown inside. And I think that's what you need. It would be a target for theft, and all of the residences around this open facility, if it ever came to pass, would be easy to rob on the way out. So I think that if you're going to be growing medical marijuana or for any other purpose, it needs to be in an industrial area with heavy guard, away from residences, away from.
When you say away from, because now we're getting to the nitty gritty where we need to
Right.
talk. Is there a distance you'd want to see, or it can't abut any residential property or property that could be used for residential
If
purposes?
there's no security, I don't even think that the industrial area is okay, because it's gonna be hit. I mean, it's gonna draw everybody who wants it. It's worse than a pharmacy, where a pharmacy will have a range of products of value. Everything in a pot farm or a dispensary is of value.
Yes,
So if it does not have adequate security, no matter where you put it, I think it would be a target for theft, and it would have a liability for all of the businesses and industry around it. I don't know how big a buffer between the industry and the residents would be, but we're up in Crown Valley, and there's no industrial area out there at all. It's all horse property.
Well, the county did, I think, pass, or they're about to pass, the personal growth
Right.
limit, which
No,
is
they wanna do
4
5
or
acres.
5 plants.
It's 5 acres of plants.
6 plants, okay.
Yeah, they're talking 5 acres. So
Yeah.
And what, did they say they had permits in
They
order?
told the neighbors that they had permits, and I
There's
spoke
no such
with the
thing.
owner.
They're not even issuing those yet for medicinal marijuana.
Or any.
And they can't
have
grow
water tank
outdoors.
installed, and they told the neighbors that they're all in order, and they're gonna be farming pot on 5 acres.
If they're exceeding 6 plants, they're breaking the law. And if they're farming it for their own consumption, and if they're farming it for medicinal marijuana, it's gotta be indoors, it's gotta be so far as. we
And
see
even
it on
indoors
industrial
has a
property.
limited number.
Right. Pardon me?
There's a limit on the numbers you grow indoors.
Indoors, it's gotta be in an enclosed.
So I think our main concern as a family would be bringing crime to the area, decreasing property values. And if it's not sufficiently guarded, I just don't see how that would ever work.
No,
You know,
I agree.
no matter where you put it, it's gotta have
You
sufficient
know what?
security.
In all fairness, I understand what you're saying, okay, I do. It is very medical. My wife suffers from, RA.
Oh, I
okay?
support medical use.
Okay, well, fine, that's great, and I understand what you're saying, you're concerned about it and everything. Recent study, it's on CNN, just came out, study of marijuana legalization doesn't increase crime. If it's done right, if it's done right, it can be fine, but I understand what you're
I'd
concerned.
like to be done right someplace
Okay,
else.
hang on a second, let's not get out of hand here. We're,
But there's many ways to do stuff. I'm not saying
I'm
why
not
that's
here. We don't have alcohol producing, we don't have Beecham Smith here making drugs, we don't have Budweiser here making beer. Most of us.
But we have it in Allen County.
Yes, but not here, not Acton. Let it be someplace else, just not Acton.
Let me just look quick.
All right, one at a time.
With people. I'm fine with medical marijuana.
Good night.
I don't have an issue with that. So.
But I want to ask a question here. You say you need a certain amount of security, you'd be all right with it. Who here wants industries that require that amount of security? That's what I'd like to
I
know.
don't want it in a residential area or in this rural area. I think it belongs away from where people live. I just don't think it's an industry that is going to be acceptable by everybody in the community, and it's not fair if it affects everybody's property values or safety. I know he doesn't agree with me on this point, but I know that dispensaries have been a target of theft, violent theft sometimes. That's the dispensary, this is the production part of it. So
Well, actually, no, it's not, that's the thing, it's not just the production part, it's also the storage of all the materials.
The whole thing.
So
Yeah,
it's,
so
what
I'm
they sell
opposed.
in the retail will be stored in
Right.
the facilities we're talking about.
I'm opposed to it being in the town, I'm not opposed to medical marijuana, I don't think it's an appropriate venue here, it needs to be in a specific place. So just like when you create opioids, you don't have an opioid manufacturing facility here, or security or wherever, they have special zoning for that. You wouldn't have an opioid facility advertised in your town, or have your town be known for opioid facilities for, security, and think nothing would happen. So that's where I'm at, I'm opposed, but
Well, you're opposed to the dispensary, you're to the whole 9 yards.
I'm opposed to a dispensary in the town, as
So am I.
well as for
I
farming
agree.
it commercially in the town,
Yeah.
for the reasons that I gave.
Growing
And I think there are
can
other
be
areas
too.
would be better.
But growing can be done way
back when no one's even connected with it.
Well, that's what we're discussing, okay? So the counties,
So it could be beneficial to the town. It could be.
hold on a second. Let me have the floor here, okay?
Oh, because they don't, unfortunately, we call it a kickback, which is illegal, but they can all donate, make it a.
All right, just a
And
moment.
they do already. In
Okay,
Colorado,
we're looking at-
they're making money in
Okay,
this.
the county is gonna create an ordinance, they're on it right now, that's gonna govern the commercial growing storage of it, okay? That is what is going to affect us, so you can't put it way out there because we don't have industrial zone properties, and that's all they're considering right now. We don't have industrial properties way out there, we have ag properties way out there. Our industrial properties,
Yeah, there's a lot of industrial properties sitting out here, 790, 980 acres, sitting back, way back off of here.
Not industrially zoned.
not industrial zone.
According to the map search, there is. Yeah, look at your map.
In
That's-
trust me, I know those maps.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great if you could show us that, because I also want to caution, when we say put it way out there, the people we are talking to are people who live in downtown Los Angeles. So as far as they're concerned, Acton as a whole is already way out there.
Yeah, we're way out there.
So, yeah.
I agree.
But if you could pull up that map, because as far as I know, the only industrially zoned properties of which I'm aware in this community are primarily centered
The
along.
one sitting next to the
Silver.
76 gas station? No, there's a lot more than that. That
No,
one's.
there's Soledad Canyon,
Yeah,
there's
there's
some
Sierra
downtown
Highway.
Acton, there's some on
No, no,
Sierra
no.
Highway, Red Rover.
Those are all, yeah, they're primarily down in Soledad, but there's not,
He's
there,
talking about 800
there aren't
acres
any
somewhere.
way out, what we would call way out there.
That's all A2.
Now, it's commercial on the other, if you're going north on the 14, when you get out of the Acton CSD, that's also commercial. on
That's
Sierra.
commercial, but not industrial.
That's not industrial, so
Right.
I don't, yeah, most of our industrial's downtown and in Soledad, right?
Right, most of them, yeah.
So, yes,
By
ma'am.
and large.
My name is Melissa Nicholson, and I live in Shannon Valley. And my husband and I bought this property to have my horses on and to enjoy the rural aspect of this community. I have lived out in the Acton area since 1997, and I believe strongly that I own pot stocks, but I don't want it here. I want it someplace else. And I'm sorry about the NIMBY attitude, but the bottom line is I didn't move out here to move next to a pot growing farm. It's not like growing lettuce. It's not like growing radishes. They seem to think because it grows, it can be out here where nobody is. It's not. It is a drug-producing activity, manufacturing activity, and it needs to be thought of like that. And I really want to encourage that sort of thinking, that growing pot, even though it's in dirt, is producing a drug. So why don't we present it that way? Is that, look, yes, you're using some earth to do it, but you're producing drugs. And what should we do with that? We'll put it where other people produce drugs. Because they all produce their opiums and their opioids and all that other good stuff inside buildings with security where there's major transportation, not near residential areas. And I don't see any difference except there's earth involved. So I would really love to encourage our town council to present it that way. They're making drugs, and which is fine. I think that's great that they make drugs, but they should make those drugs in the same places that they make drugs.
Thank you.
I'm writing down everybody's comments, so I'm just assuming no drugs anywhere here, not even, no sales, no warehousing, no cultivation.
Nothing, that they don't make drugs out here. Make them when they make other drugs.
I'm Kathleen Trinity, and I think that's an excellent idea. I would like to second that. I think homes come first, families and our, homesteads are primary, and I don't think we should let anything threaten it. But I do have one question now. Do they, even if they were on, let's say, 5 acres, do they have to be in a covered area, some kind of farm structure to be grown, or can they be grown out you know, in the fields.
My understanding of what they're contemplating is only on industrially zoned property, and they've asked the listing sessions to ask if it should be indoors or not. They're leaning towards indoors, but they want to hear input on it. Would you agree with that, Ruth?
Well, I would like to say definitely it should be in some sort of a structure.
I mean, if those people up Crown Valley are growing for personal use and they're exceeding 6 plants, they're breaking the law.
Well, that's what the situation that was just described is out of context of anything that's ever been discussed, and it's not allowed, yeah. But Kathleen, I want to understand, because you were seconding this other lady's idea about none here at all. But saying none here at all and saying putting it indoors are two different things.
With this industrial exception.
We're only talking about
They
industrial right now.
definitely have to be inside some sort of structure.
Right. So under that, would you be okay then with having marijuana cultivated
Well,
here?
I personally, I wouldn't like to see it
Yeah, I
at
have
all.
a comment. I have a comment. According to the county, they're building this framework of regulations. The legislation, it actually left power to the cities to be able to either ban or to, regulate and tax it and whatnot. Santa Clarita Valley has chosen to ban.
Completely, yes.
Yay. Why can't, we're not a city, but why can't we choose to ban? If our survey shows that our residents don't want it.
That was my input.
Okay, let's do this. Who would want to see it banned? Let's see a show of hands. Okay, so 1, 2, 3.
As far as commercial cultivation in Acton.
Let me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We got 9, okay. Ban it times 9. Okay. Is there anyone here in favor of commercial cultivation or warehousing or processing or manufacturing on industrially zoned properties in Acton? Okay.
It's a little unclear on would you totally ban it? It's gotta be further looked at. And by the way, here, I got your websites.
Oh,
You want to see it?
yeah, that would be great.
This one's 920 acres.
It's zoned industrial.
It's zoned industrial. I pulled it up as industrial.
Here.
Here in Acton. Shows it right outside. But is there a way to do it? Yes. Can it be beneficial? Yes, it has. If you look at the way Colorado set it up and everything, but it could be a money maker.
Why is it beneficial? What are the
How's it
Colorado.
beneficial to act? To
Well,
unincorporated
Colorado,
act?
well, to act. What if you got, it was safe, everything was done right, and you got 10% of revenues?
We don't.
We don't.
It donated. Donated to the city. What if they set it up like that?
But we don't even have a structure to take 10% of revenue.
What if you
We're
did?
unincorporated.
What if you did?
Well, then, that's not the way unincorporated areas are set up.
Well, Liz, I think the
Well,
county.
yeah, it wasn't set up to grow pot either in this country.
The
So
county-
you change things.
Okay,
You make,
so-
it's just a change. That's
Right.
all you look at. That's all.
So what you're really looking at is incorporation of Acton and configuring it in such a way to take money from pot growing. I mean, that's a major paradigm shift for this community.
Well, but I do
I mean-
want to ask a question on the,
Go ahead.
because I think it's fair we need to get everybody's, can I ask you how you would imagine, because we could ask just cultivation, but not processing and all that other stuff. How would you handle security if you accept for a moment the premise that all of our industrially zoned properties are abutting residential properties or residentially zoned properties?
Well, that wouldn't be the right place to have it. Number one, I agree with you.
Okay,
Up against-
all right, well, that's
up
good.
against
Okay.
residential property? No.
Okay.
No, that makes no sense.
Okay.
Okay, you want it, or schools, or churches, anything of that nature, you don't want it there.
Okay.
Look, maybe you only can find maybe 3 areas in this whole area it could be done.
Okay.
Let's say, okay, it's away from everything, okay?
Okay.
Now, it's gotta be done indoors, you can't have it in the open air because, whoa, everyone smells it. Now they know where to go, okay?
Well, I just want to make sure I understand the
They're gonna know.
limits of everybody's either
Oh, what?
support.
We're gonna know where to go.
Why, you want yellow pages? Come on.
Well,
They're gonna know where to go.
they're gonna grow indoors because they want the extended growing cycle of artificial light. That's a given. Nobody grows pot outdoors.
Keep the right
and make
temperature,
money.
get better growth.
All that stuff. So indoors is where professionals are gonna wanna grow it. They're not gonna wanna have it out. So.
I have no problem with somebody, for personal consumption, having their 6 plants.
They're growers.
They're probably gonna furnish all their friends, whatever.
Well, yeah,
I
that's-
understand
that's
that,
not what we're
I
talking
get
about.
it, I'm not a smoker, but I get it. But I do agree with the lady in the back that it should be treated as a drug, as a medication, because that's what it's being promoted as medical marijuana.
It's recreational approved now.
No, as far as recreational, they should be able to grow in their homes in a small amount,
Right,
whatever. But as far as commercial cultivation, it should be treated as the drug that it is, if it's gonna be marketed for medicinal use.
But
And I
that's- I
believe
don't-
that needs to be in a more controlled environment. We are sitting ducks here being.
Ruth, I understand that, but I don't believe that's the way the county's looking at this
But, yeah, the
ordinance.
county is
They're looking at this
looking at
ordinance as commercial growing for, not for medicine, but for, recreational use, thank you. So this is the commercial growing, and it's gonna be sold for recreational use.
But you gotta have the commercial growing also to take care of the medical.
Right, we're not talking about that, because right now we have
And I like
ordinances.
her alcohol comment too, because she's right.
But right now, we have ordinances that if you grow for medical marijuana, you have a list of buyers, and they limit the amount, and all that's gonna change obviously in time, but that's already kinda handled, so this is not impacted. This is, what we're talking about is the assumption there's gonna be a large need for recreational use. Therefore, you're gonna need commercial growers to fill that recreational need. You're gonna need the distilleries, you're gonna need the Budweiser plant.
Part of the problem
That's the
you're gonna
premise.
have
I would
is
call it
as
a
the-
demand, not a need.
As the law goes further into effect, okay, the medical, even for the medical use, I mean, it's already coming out. There's a problem in California, they can't grow enough weed. Well, why? Because they're busting all the pot farms and they're doing all that. They can't even fulfill it for the medical side of it, what they want to use it for there. So there's gonna be an issue that comes up. If you have the advantage, if it can be beneficial, and just look at it from is it beneficial? That's all you're looking at. If it doesn't work out and it doesn't look like it's good for the community, you definitely don't want it around schools, you don't want kids around it. I'm totally down on dispensaries. I don't want it around where I live, no, I agree with you. But if you have the soil in the area, in the climate where you can grow it, they can do it right, and it's put away where it's not gonna be an issue, it's like everything.
But all of those things are not real because they grow it inside in controlled climates with the soil they
Right.
bring in, has nothing to do with here.
Exactly. All right, this gentleman in the back,
They grow
wants to make a
outside
comment.
Well,
Okay, we have a gentleman in the back who'd like
Like
to speak.
Stevie in Acton Valley, what the gentleman was saying is that would never work. You cannot just all of a sudden have one place, it would just explode.